Are Leeds United Rodon? Now, I admit that was a slightly fun pun that I wanted to put in the video, but we all know that transfer markets have wild variability to them. They're not always as simple as you expect, and you can't really predict them. That includes the fees that clubs will have to pay and the specific players that will be on the move between the clubs. There's no clear list of this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy will be moving permanently on loan in any given summer. There's always a few surprises and always some players that you think will move that end up staying. And now we have an update that could be a bit of a problem for Leeds United in one of our moves for a significant target in the form of a block to the Joe Rodon move. But first, subscribe. Cheers. It's one click. It's down there somewhere. Massively appreciated. Anyway, the big block is the fact that Leeds United have learned Joe Rodon's price tag, and it's not looking as good as I sort of hoped it would, at least a couple of weeks back. Previous predictions held Rodon's price tag at something like £8 to £12 million, pricing in the fact that he had 1 year on his contract. Spurs didn't need him that much. He seemed fairly happy and comfortable at championship level, so you wouldn't really be charging the most exorbitant prices possible. But due to a few little evolutions in the past couple of weeks, reports are now saying that Spurs value Joe Rodon at around £15 million, which is almost double the lower end of that bracket that I mentioned a few minutes ago, and that could be a little bit of a problem for clubs such as Leeds United, primarily because it is a huge sum for a championship side. Looking back, the only championship signing I can remember Leeds United making for 15 million quid was Helder Costa. And that was very specifically with the idea that the costs of that would be spread over 5 years with £3 million a year paid, which is a lot of management to have to do, and something that I'm not entirely sure Spurs would like, because Spurs might be in a little bit of financial difficulty. We don't entirely know. Also, it's Daniel Levy. For an idea of how much money this is for a championship side, by the way, it's almost double the annual TV revenue for a championship club, which is wild. That is a significant amount of cash, and not an amount of cash that a lot of people will want to be spending. And if it is accurate, it could entirely prevent the move. Now, I'm going to, in a moment, explain all the different potential routes Leeds United will take from this and how exactly I rate them. But before getting to that, why exactly is the price tag so high now? And there are a few reasons. According to Ben Jacobs, Ange Postecoglou actively watched Joe Rodon's Leeds United performances. It might have been after the season whilst he was playing, but he was keeping tabs on him, getting an idea of, okay, just how good is Rodon? Is Rodon maybe good enough to come into the squad? And he said that he saw a lot of quality there. And that's what led to the year of a contract extension from the club's side. It didn't come from Rodon, came from the club, and apparently Ange was the person that pushed that. However, he's still unlikely to be a significant option for that first team. The first team at Spurs has such an obscenely high level with Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, that it's going to be near impossible for Joe Rodon to put himself in the first 11, and he's going to want to get minutes, especially after playing something like 50 times last season. And either way, that extension on the contract gives Spurs significantly more value to play with in Joe Rodon's contract. It gives them the opportunity to go, well, okay, you can't have him on a free next year, so you can't just wait us out. It'd be 2 years down the line. By that point, he's 27, 28, and that becomes significantly more difficult for you to push for a move, so you're going to have to do something now. It sort of forces Leeds United's hand, and it eliminates their need to sell entirely. They don't have the risk of losing him for free anymore, so they can just sort of wait us out. It's a game of chance, essentially, where Spurs have taken the advantage. They've taken one of the few things that they have on their side here and gone, okay, we'll have that and we'll make things trickier for you, which is well within their right, but it's really annoying. But Leeds United do have a few options going into an attempt to complete this deal. So I'm going to run through exactly what they are, how I rate them. Are they likely? We'll find out. First up is the option to just accept the cost. Accept that £15 million is what Tottenham Hotspur want, and Tottenham Hotspur are never the easiest club to try and negotiate with. I'll be honest, in my opinion, this isn't the ideal move here. Partially because, I mean, Christ, it's £15 million. It's a hell of a lot of money to just throw on a defender when you have a lot of rebuilding to do. We know Joe Rodon is good, but the question is he that significant a chunk of your transfer budget good? I'm not entirely convinced. He's a quality player, don't get me wrong. And it would be good for Rodon to get his move. It'd be good for Leeds to get it done. But I feel like that's giving in a little bit too much to Spurs. which would be a mistake. It'd show us as pushovers, and it would continue to happen throughout the rest of the market. The second option is move on, chase elsewhere. There are centre-backs all across Europe, across second divisions, across the Eredivisie, across the Jupiler Pro League in Belgium, in Liga NOS in Portugal, where there's a hell of a lot of centre-back options that are looking for a move to get a little bit more visibility. And what more visibility are you going to get than top end of the Championship with a new TV deal with Leeds United? There aren't that many more options. However, looking at the three clubs that are sort of involved in this conversation, us, Rodon, Spurs, I feel like everyone loses in that situation. Leeds United lose because, I mean, Joe Rodon is a known entity. He's someone that we know the way he plays, we know the way that we can use him, we know who he plays well alongside. And in a championship promotion push, that's sort of what you need, that you're not going to get if you're just picking out players from other leagues across Europe and saying, statistically, you fit into the mold. You don't need statistically at this point, you need knowledge. And that's what Rodon provides us. From Rodon's point of view, that's not great either, because he wants to find a permanent home as a footballer rather than just being shipped around by Spurs on loan season after season. And from Spurs' point of view, they don't get to sell Rodon. I mean, they might find another club that's willing to do it, but it makes things significantly more difficult for them, and they can't focus on their main targets because Joe Rodon is effectively not a part of that first team squad. And they need to make signings, they need to make sales relating to that squad, and I feel like making the Rodon thing more complex is just making things tricky for them. There is something we can consider, which is a loan to buy. This could be an option, it could be an obligation. An example of an obligation to buy, for example, would be if Leeds United get promoted, then we'd need to sign him for a set amount of money. Maybe that's where the £15 million comes in. Maybe it's an option if we stay down, but an obligation if we go up, something like that. But in my opinion, that's the best for all parties. It's the best for Leeds United. It means that we get a fantastic player back whilst not shelling out all the money immediately. It's the best for Rodon because he can come back to a club that genuinely loves and appreciates him, that sort of backs him through and through, and like he knows what it is to be Leeds now. He's got those Wales teammates alongside him. I can see that being an intelligent move on his part, and Spurs get their money eventually, especially if it's an obligation. They manage to set in stone, okay, we're definitely getting this much next year. They can even change the date of it being completed if they want. Make it in this financial year. So either way, they're going to get the money during the 24-25 financial year. That would make sense for them. It makes sense for us and is ultimately a move that I think works out. But I'll be honest, things have gotten significantly trickier. And I kind of hope that we're able to get a move for Rodon across the line because he is a player that I really enjoy watching, gives us all for the shirt, and hopefully in the years to come, we can see him do so for even longer. Either way, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's always massively appreciated to just have a little bit of a conversation about all of this. And yeah, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I will see you later. That Rodon pun. I don't know whether you like or hate it, but you know what? I love it. It's fantastic. See you later.